What happens when a lifetime of quiet devotion, often unseen and unappreciated, is met with an earthquake of ingratitude, exposing the very core of human nature? What if I told you that a simple act of caring for one's parents, day in and day out, for 2 long decades, could become the ultimate catalyst for a profound divine intervention that transforms a fractured family beyond all earthly comprehension, solidifying bonds thought irreparably broken? Do you truly believe it's possible for Jesus Christ, the Prince of Peace, to take a deep-seated generational neglect and transform it into a blessing of reconciliation so powerful it heals the deepest wounds across generations, touching even the faintest echoes of past hurts? The true story of the Miller family begins not with dramatic pronouncements or grand gestures, but with the subtle, insidious decay of forgotten love, a slow erosion of connection that left a cavernous void in its wake. For 20 long, arduous years, I, Sarah Miller, poured every ounce of my dwindling youth, my boundless energy, and my very soul into caring for my aging parents, James and Eleanor. Their once vibrant health faded like a distant memory, their sharp minds blurred into a disorienting haze of confusion, and their needs, initially manageable, grew exponentially with each passing, demanding day. I became, quite literally, their hands, guiding their tremulous grasp, their feet steadying their faltering steps, their memory holding on to fragments of a life they could no longer recall. My own life, with its once budding aspirations, my dreams, once so vivid and tangible, and the vibrant bloom of my youth, were meticulously placed on a silent altar of familial duty. My siblings, Mark and Lisa, had long since vanished into the sprawling tapestry of their own successful lives, building their glittering careers and personal empires hundreds of miles away, leaving me to shoulder the ever-increasing, almost crushing, burden alone. They visited occasionally, fleeting shadows of their former selves, offering platitudes that rang hollow and vague offers of help that, frustratingly, never materialized. But it was I who lived in the relentless, exhausting grind of medication, schedules, the endless maze of doctor's appointments, and the quiet, pervasive despair of watching those you love most in the world slowly, irrevocably, fade away before your very eyes. The once boisterous, laughter-filled house, now steeped in an almost suffocating silence, became a solemn mausoleum of fading echoes, and I, its sole, weary, and increasingly isolated guardian. This was my sacrifice, my unspoken covenant, a silent testament to a love that, deep within my hopeful heart, I believed would eventually be recognized, perhaps even celebrated, by those who had so conveniently forgotten. But Sarah would soon discover, in a revelation that would shake the very foundations of her world, that her relentless, loving care for her parents was, in truth, Jesus Christ meticulously preparing a moment of suspended time that would not only redefine her entire lineage but would also fundamentally and miraculously heal her broken family beyond anything humanly possible. The intricate, divine plan of God for this fragmented family was about to unfold in the most miraculous and utterly shocking way imaginable. A display of grace and justice that would leave no one untouched. Between whispered prayers for strength, in the deepest shadows of night and hearts prepared, whether they knew it or not, the quiet dedication of one daughter would reveal how a profound divine pause in the fabric of reality would change everything, forever altering their trajectory. Jesus had intricate secrets woven into the very tapestry of time itself. Secrets so profound that neither Sarah nor her seemingly oblivious siblings, Mark and Lisa, could ever begin to imagine the depths of his unseen hand at work. My days began before the first tentative blush of dawn touched the horizon, and often stretched endlessly, dissolving into the deepest hours long after dusk had fully descended. Each morning, a ritual etched into my very soul. I would meticulously prepare my parents' breakfast, gently, patiently reminding my father to take his blood pressure medication, a task that grew more challenging with his fading memory. Then, I'd move to my mother, helping her with her morning routine. Her cruel Alzheimer's, a relentless thief, steadily stealing away the vibrant, sharp wit that had once defined her. I read to them from faded books, sang old hymns in a voice I barely recognized, and sometimes simply sat in profound silence, holding their frail, trembling hands, feeling the immense, crushing weight of their dependence settle upon me. Their world had shrunk to the 4 walls of our home, and I was their only window, their only anchor to a reality that constantly eluded them. Mark would call occasionally, his voice distant, always tinged with an almost palpable preoccupation, casually asking about the situation, as if our parents were merely a logistical problem to be solved, a minor inconvenience to be managed. Lisa would send beautifully handwritten cards, their elegant script a stark contrast to the emotional emptiness they conveyed, devoid of any genuine presence or heartfelt concern. They had their well-rehearsed reasons, their burgeoning careers demanding their full attention, their own growing children requiring their focus, their busy lives constantly pulling them away. I told myself, fiercely, repeatedly, that I understood, that my sacrifice was its own reward, an honorable duty. Yet, a tiny, insidious seed of gnawing resentment, like a venomous vine, began to sprout in the hidden, unacknowledged corners of my heart, slowly coiling around my spirit. I prayed, desperately, for strength to endure, for a patience that often felt beyond my grasp, for any tangible sign that my relentless efforts were not, in the vast, indifferent universe, entirely in vain. Little did I know, a divine observer was indeed watching, meticulously recording every selfless act, every tear shed in the crushing solitude of night, every whispered plea for relief. Jesus wasn't merely witnessing my pain, he was actively orchestrating, carefully weaving a magnificent tapestry of divine timing and spiritual recognition that would soon unravel in a way no one, not even I, could have possibly predicted. He saw the invisible burdens I carried, the unspoken vows I had made, the quiet endurance that transcended mere human duty and approached a profound, sacrificial love that mirrored his own. He was preparing to honor that commitment in a way that would not only shock my unsuspecting siblings but would also leave me, and everyone who thought they knew the Miller family, utterly breathless, demonstrating his boundless grace and unwavering justice. But what, truly, were Mark and Lisa desperately trying to hide behind their polite, carefully constructed smiles and their maddeningly infrequent, rushed visits? The truth, the full, unvarnished truth, about the family's deeply convoluted financial legacy was about to come to a blinding, inescapable light, and it would irrevocably change everything, exposing, with a brutal clarity, the true colors of devotion versus the stark, ugly reality of greed. My ceaseless sacrifice, though largely unseen and unacknowledged by superficial human eyes, was being meticulously and lovingly observed by the divine, etched into the annals of eternity. The daily grind, already suffocating, intensified beyond measure as my parents' already fragile health took another devastating turn. My father suffered a mild stroke, its silent impact leaving him even more profoundly dependent. His once steady gait now a shuffle, his words often slurred. Simultaneously, mother's insidious dementia deepened its cruel, relentless grip, stealing more of her precious memories, more of her once vibrant personality, leaving behind only echoes. I rarely left the house, my existence confined to its four walls, my once thriving social life a distant, almost painful memory, and my own dreams, once so vividly imagined, gathering dust in the forgotten, shadowy corners of my mind. The financial strain, already immense, became an almost unbearable weight. Their pensions, once adequate, barely covered their escalating medical expenses and the constant need for specialized care, leaving me with no choice but to dip deeper and deeper into my meager savings I had meticulously squirreled away for a future that now seemed impossibly distant, a mirage on a shimmering horizon. I never once complained to Mark or Lisa, a stubborn pride and an ingrained sense of duty preventing me from airing our family's dirty laundry, from revealing the truth of my struggle. I simply handled it, as I always had, as if it were my sole, inescapable burden. But there were countless nights, stretching late into the oppressive dark hours, when the sheer, overwhelming weight of it all became utterly unbearable. It was in those moments that I would crumble, crying out to God in a raw, guttural plea, begging for a release from the invisible chains that bound me, for a sign, any sign, that my relentless efforts were not utterly in vain, that I wasn't forgotten in the vastness of His creation. These were the very moments, I now realize with a profound clarity, when Jesus drew closest, His presence not a thunderous voice, but a silent, gentle balm to my wounded, weary spirit. He saw every silent tear that tracked down my cheeks, every unspoken exhaustion that settled in my bones, the profound depths of my unwavering commitment. He was, even then, meticulously preparing to honor that commitment in a way that would not only shock my unsuspecting siblings to their very core, but would also leave me, and everyone who dared to judge, utterly speechless, demonstrating his boundless grace and unwavering justice. This wasn't just about earthly money or material possessions. It was about the very fabric of profound, selfless sacrifice versus the callous emptiness of superficial expectation, and the divine hand was about to tip the scales, revealing a truth that had been hidden for far too long, poised to alter their destiny. Don't miss how this quiet suffering led to a shocking reveal. Subscribe now and hit that notification bell. Each fervent prayer, each silent tear shed in the darkest hours, led them more deeply into sacred, divine territory where a looming inheritance, far grander than mere earthly wealth, hovered like a silent, formidable shadow, ready to irrevocably redefine loyalties and expose hidden, uncomfortable truths. The impending revelation, carefully orchestrated by divine hands, would serve as an irrefutable testament to a lifetime of unseen, unwavering devotion and unrecognized love. The weeks leading up to my father's passing were a disorienting blur of hushed hospice nurses, the quiet efficiency of their movements, a stark contrast to the tumultuous storm within me. There were countless hushed conversations that faded into the background, and the hollow, gnawing ache of impending, inevitable loss settled deep within my bones. Even then, in those final, fragile moments, Mark and Lisa were conspicuously absent, their excuses well-rehearsed: urgent work commitments, unavoidable family matters. I told myself, again and again, that I understood, that I had always been the stronger one, the one who bore the brunt of life's heavy burdens. They would come for the funeral, of course. They would offer their condolences, perhaps even a brief, awkward hug that felt more like a formality than genuine comfort. And then, life, or what was left of it for me, would surely return to its muted, solitary hum. But even in the suffocating embrace of my grief, a faint, unsettling unease began to stir within me, a persistent whisper of something more. There had always been whispers, fleeting and elusive, about our family's hidden wealth. Hushed conversations between my parents that ceased abruptly, almost suspiciously, whenever I entered the room. I had never paid much mind to them, too consumed by the relentless, practical demands of daily care, by the sheer exhaustion of keeping two frail lives afloat. Yet, a persistent feeling clung to me, a premonition that something profoundly significant lay beneath the polished surface, something far more substantial than just sentimental keepsakes and faded photographs. Jesus, in his infinite wisdom and boundless compassion, knew exactly what was about to unfold. With a clarity that transcended human understanding, he was carefully, meticulously aligning every single piece of the cosmic puzzle, preparing to reveal a truth that would not only powerfully vindicate my 20 years of selfless service, but would also, with unsparing clarity, expose the stark, almost brutal contrast between true, sacrificial devotion and their shallow, superficial obligation. This wasn't just a matter of earthly inheritance, of legal documents and financial assets. It was a profound divine reckoning, a spiritual redistribution of what was truly deserved in the eyes of the Almighty. If you are loving this journey of transformation, press that like button, because the next turn will leave you breathless. She was standing at the precipice, at the definitive crossroads of destiny, to finally choose to fully acknowledge her deep-seated faith in the face of overwhelming odds and risk everything for a higher truth, or to tragically choose the familiar, albeit suffocating, safety of silent resentment and, in doing so, risk losing her very soul to an insidious, creeping bitterness. The reading of the will was not merely a mundane legal formality. It was, in the grand tapestry of their lives, a profound, irreversible spiritual turning point, a moment poised to redefine their entire family dynamic. The day of the will reading finally arrived, shrouded not only in the heavy silence of lingering grief but also in a palpable tension, thicker and more oppressive than the humid summer air that pressed in from outside. Mark and Lisa sat stiffly across from me in Mr. Harrison's opulent, oak-paneled law office, their faces meticulously composed, each a carefully constructed mask of solemnity. Yet their eyes betrayed a peculiar mix of eager anticipation and a thinly veiled, almost frantic impatience. I, however, felt nothing but a profound, aching emptiness, my grief still a raw, gaping wound in my spirit, overshadowing all other emotions. Mr. Harrison, the impeccably dressed family attorney, cleared his throat with a practiced, almost theatrical, gravitas, his voice formal, measured, and devoid of any discernible emotion. He began with the boilerplate legal jargon, a monotonous drone of clauses and subclauses, but then, subtly, imperceptibly at first, his tone shifted, gaining a quiet, undeniable weight. "It states here, quite unequivocally," he read, his words resonating with a startling clarity in the hushed room, "that due to Sarah Miller's unwavering and unparalleled devotion, her ceaseless sacrifice, and her continuous, diligent care for James and Eleanor Miller for the past 2 decades, often at great personal cost and profound sacrifice to her own life, it is their express and undeniable wish that the entirety of their estate, including all tangible properties, all substantial financial assets, and all long-held investments, be bequeathed solely and exclusively to their beloved daughter, Sarah Miller." The staggering words hung suspended in the air, echoing in the stunned, almost deafening silence that followed, each syllable reverberating with the force of a cosmic hammer blow. It was then, in that precise, unforgettable moment, that something truly miraculous, something beyond human explanation, occurred. That elegant, old-fashioned room seemed to grow utterly still. The rhythmic ticking of the antique grandfather clock in the corner ceased its steady rhythm. The low, comforting hum of the air conditioner faded into nothingness. For what felt like an eternity, a profound, unmeasurable expanse of time that was perhaps, in reality, only 3 breathtaking minutes, everything stopped. It was as if Jesus Christ himself had personally entered that stuffy office and, with a silent, all-powerful command, had paused the very flow of time, allowing the full, immense weight of those astounding words, the incredible, life-altering truths of them, to settle deep, deep within my soul, searing themselves into my very being. Mark's jaw dropped open, a grotesque caricature of disbelief, his meticulously crafted composure shattering into 1,000 pieces. Lisa let out a sharp, choked gasp, her eyes wide with a mixture of disbelief and dawning horror, quickly narrowing into a furious, venomous glare that burned with betrayal. Their reaction, truly, was far more devastating and revealing than anyone, even I, could have ever imagined. The profound silence was broken only by the rising, almost palpable tide of their incredulity, their initial disbelief quickly morphing into a raw, unbridled fury, a searing testament to the profound shock of a truth they never expected to hear, let alone accept with any grace. This was the undeniable moment of reckoning, a divine interruption of earthly expectations, a sacred pause that would forever mark the turning point of our family's saga. The resolution is coming. Don't miss how Jesus transforms this family from bitter conflict to an astounding unity, with hearts that would, eventually, through the transformative grace of Jesus, begin to unite. They faced a future where divine love would systematically conquer all obstacles, forging a new path towards genuine, deeply rooted reconciliation. Even in the face of profound resentment, the unexpected inheritance was far more than just a staggering sum of money. It was, in its deepest essence, a profound, irrefutable spiritual vindication, a testament to God's watchful eye. The immediate aftermath of Mr. Harrison's pronouncement was a furious tempest of accusations, a bewildering storm of incredulity and righteous indignation that swirled around me. Mark, his face a mottled mask of rage, contorted with disbelief, accused Mr. Harrison, his voice trembling with barely controlled fury, of blatant forgery, of a malicious misinterpretation of the clear will. He pounded his fist on the polished desk, demanding explanations, refusing to accept the undeniable truth laid bare before him. Lisa, her voice sharp, cutting like a shard of glass, launched into a furious tirade about fairness, about her equal right as a beloved child. Conveniently, almost comically, forgetting the 20 grueling years of actual, tangible care I had selflessly provided, they spoke, almost desperately, of the viral fame they had so meticulously envisioned for the Miller family, a carefully curated public display of harmonious unity, completely, tragically, missing the fundamental point that the real story, the true narrative of any family, begins long after the fleeting camera lights dim and the sensational headlines fade. What truly happens, what remains, when the fleeting glow of viral fame fades into obscurity and you're left, day after agonizing, day, with the same broken, self-serving people in your living room, their hearts still hardened by envy and neglect. They, in their raw, unfiltered greed, were the truly broken people, utterly consumed by a corrosive entitlement that blinded them to all reason. I, however, amidst the cacophony of their protests and the storm of their accusations, felt a strange, profound peace settle deep within my spirit, an almost inexplicable calm amidst the chaos. That singular moment, when time had seemingly stopped, when the very universe had paused for a divine breath, had left an indelible, sacred mark upon my soul. It was as if Jesus himself had leaned down and whispered a divine, irrefutable truth directly into my spirit. Your sacrifice was seen, Sarah. Every quiet act of love, every tear shed in secret, every ounce of selflessness, it was all seen. Your love was absolutely not in vain. This wasn't merely about superficial vindication in the fleeting, judgmental eyes of my siblings. It was about a far deeper, more profound vindication in the unwavering, all-seeing eyes of God. The inheritance, substantial as it was a tangible, undeniable manifestation of a foundational, spiritual principle, that faithful, unwavering service, even when tragically unappreciated or deliberately ignored by man, is always, without fail, honored and abundantly rewarded by Almighty God. It wasn't just a financial blessing that would change my material circumstances. It was a profound, deeply spiritual restoration of dignity, a public, divine acknowledgement of a lifetime of selfless, sacrificial devotion. The raw, guttural shock on their faces, their palpable, almost agonizing devastation, was a stark, unsparing mirror reflecting their own profound lack of genuine care. Their deep-seated neglect, a harsh and unavoidable consequence of their prolonged, intentional abandonment. This, truly, was the justice of God, unfolding in the most unexpected, public, and undeniable way, leaving no room for doubt or denial. Share this incredible story with someone who desperately needs to believe in the power of God's justice and the profound hope of family transformation. As they slowly, begrudgingly, but inevitably established their new, awkward position within the challenging circles of faith and family, a new, formidable challenge of forgiveness tragically emerged, testing, with an almost brutal honesty, whether their newfound, fragile love and burgeoning spiritual understanding would genuinely withstand the immense pressures of true, raw, and often painful reconciliation. The true, arduous work of healing, of mending the fractured pieces of their shared past, was, in reality, just beginning. Far beyond the initial shock, the initial, explosive anger from Mark and Lisa, though intense, eventually, gradually, gave way to a grudging, almost reluctant acceptance, primarily fueled by the undeniable and unchangeable legal reality laid out before them. The will was ironclad, unassailable, but mere acceptance, I knew deep in my heart, was not true forgiveness, and genuine, heartfelt reconciliation felt as distant as the farthest star, impossibly out of reach. I, too, wrestled fiercely with a bitter, insidious seed that threatened to take deep root in my spirit, the corrosive poison of resentment. How I agonized. How could I possibly forgive 2 decades of blatant abandonment, of emotional neglect, especially now that their true character had been so brutally and undeniably exposed for all to see? It was in my quietest moments of fervent prayer, in the sacred solitude of my renewed faith, that Jesus Christ himself spoke directly to my heart, not with a booming, thunderous voice, but with a gentle, yet insistent and profound whisper that resonated deep within my very being. He reminded me, with an overwhelming wave of love, of his own boundless sacrifice on the cross, of the infinite, boundless grace he so freely extended even to those who cruelly rejected him, who spat upon his name. He showed me, through a spiritual vision as clear as the purest spring water, that true healing wasn't about magically erasing the painful past, about pretending the wounds never existed, but rather about choosing, with a deliberate act of will, to courageously release the crushing weight of the pain, to extend the very same radical grace I had so miraculously received from him. Slowly, painstakingly, with each step feeling like walking on shattered glass, I began to reach out to my siblings, not with accusations, not with recriminations, but with a tentative, fragile offer of open dialogue, guided by the profound, supernatural peace that now permeated my spirit. There were tears, copious and cathartic, difficult, agonizing conversations that ripped open old wounds, and raw, heartfelt confessions of their own deep regrets, their own hidden struggles, their own secret shame. It was a messy, imperfect, and often agonizing process, filled with stumbles and setbacks, but it was undeniably, truly real. The inheritance, once a profound symbol of bitter division, of deep-seated animosity, began its miraculous transformation into a strong, sturdy bridge, allowing us to hesitantly invest in shared ventures, creating opportunities that unexpectedly benefited all of us, not just financially, but far more importantly, relationally, healing the fissures of our shared past. The Miller family, once fractured and shattered by years of neglect and the corrosive grip of greed, was slowly, miraculously, lovingly being knitted back together, piece by the powerful, unifying thread of divine love. A true testament to His restoring grace, their powerful story, meticulously woven together through the transformative grace of Jesus Christ, had miraculously become the unwavering foundation of a new spiritual empire. Hearts once fractured now, profoundly united, actively transforming communities across the breadth of America. A living, breathing testament to God's enduring, boundless grace and His unwavering faithfulness. The ultimate, most profound blessing that flowed from this divine intervention was not merely the staggering financial gain, it was, at its very core, the miraculous restoration of fractured familial bonds, a healing deeper than any material wealth could ever provide. The story of our family's astonishing transformation spread like wildfire, not as a salacious tale of scandalous inheritance or bitter dispute, but as a compelling, undeniable testament to the profound, redemptive power of God's boundless love. People from all walks of life were drawn to our raw vulnerability, to the honest, unvarnished truth of our struggles, and to the utterly miraculous way Jesus had intervened, meticulously turning our ashes into beauty. Mark and Lisa, once entirely consumed by their own superficial pursuits and material ambitions, found themselves unexpectedly and deeply involved in faith-based initiatives, using their newfound resources to passionately support causes that vigorously promoted family healing, reconciliation, and the restoration of broken relationships. We collectively established a robust foundation in our beloved parents' names, a living legacy dedicated to passionately supporting weary caregivers and families bravely facing similar, daunting challenges, tirelessly turning our past pain into a boundless wellspring of purpose and profound compassion for others. The old house, once a silent, echoing place of quiet despair and painful memories, became, almost magically, a vibrant, bustling hub of joyous family gatherings, perpetually filled with the infectious sound of laughter, the warmth of genuine connection, and the palpable presence of God's grace. It transformed into a sanctuary where generations could gather, not in conflict, but in unity, experiencing the tangible, life-altering presence of God's love. Our children, who had painfully grown up witnessing the bitter discord and the deep-seated resentment that once permeated our home, now had the incredible privilege of seeing, firsthand, the profound beauty of forgiveness, the unyielding strength of family, and the transformative power of Jesus Christ. They learned, not from textbooks, but from lived experience, that true wealth isn't measured in fleeting material possessions or bank accounts, but in the unbreakable bonds of family, meticulously forged and perpetually sustained by divine, unconditional love. This, truly, was the ultimate inheritance, a legacy far richer, far more enduring, and infinitely more valuable than any earthly fortune could ever hope to provide. A testament to God's eternal design, she stood at the profound crossroads of eternity, with the sacred choice to courageously share her powerful story of redemption and, in doing so, inspire countless generations, or to tragically keep the profound blessing and the miraculous work of God only to herself, allowing the radiant light of His transformative work to remain tragically hidden from a world so desperately in need. The choice, for Sarah, became unequivocally clear. She would, without hesitation, share the breathtaking miracle that had reshaped her very existence. Our family's journey of transformation, while profound, has not been without its continued challenges, for life, in its inherent complexity, is rarely a perfectly straight, smooth path. But now, when faced with new adversity, new trials, our family unit stands remarkably united, a fortress of faith, leaning not on our own strength, but on the indelible lessons learned through our past struggles and the unwavering, comforting presence of Jesus Christ. The vivid memory of those 3 suspended minutes when time stopped, when Jesus made his presence so undeniably, profoundly known in that lawyer's office, remains a powerful, anchoring force in our lives. It serves as a constant, gentle reminder that no act of self-sacrificing love, no selfless gesture, no quiet act of devotion, and certainly no tear shed in lonely solitude ever goes unnoticed by our Heavenly Father, whose eyes scan the whole earth. This story, our raw, authentic story, is a living testament to the undeniable fact that even in the most painful, heart-wrenching family dramas, even when human reactions are far more devastating and shocking than anyone could have possibly imagined, Jesus Christ, in his infinite wisdom and boundless love, always has an intricate, divine plan for profound restoration, a sacred purpose woven into every single trial, every single moment of suffering. He takes our shattered brokenness, our deep-seated resentments, our most agonizing wounds, and, with his miraculous touch, transforms them into a beautiful, compelling narrative of redemption, a story that echoes through eternity. We share our testimony not for self-glorification, not to bask in fleeting human admiration, but to honor the one, the only one, who orchestrated our complete healing, to offer genuine, life-altering hope to countless families grappling with their own complex, often painful, relationships. Our lives, once shadowed by discord, now shine as a beacon of his grace, inspiring others to seek his divine intervention in their own fractured situations, with hearts now inextricably united through the agonizing, boundless grace of Jesus Christ. The profound, miraculous restoration of the Miller family dramatically revealed that the inheritance, while significant, was merely the tangible beginning of a far greater, more expansive spiritual journey stretching into eternity, guided by his unwavering light. The story of the Miller family continues to powerfully unfold, not just within the renovated walls of our renewed home, but in the cascading ripple effect our compelling testimony has created in communities far and wide, touching lives we may never even know. We've learned, with a deep, abiding conviction, that Jesus doesn't just intervene in dramatic, show-stopping moments. He walks with us, intimately, through every mundane day, every difficult, awkward conversation, every quiet, unseen act of service, infusing them with his divine presence. The real, enduring story truly begins after the camera lights fade. After the initial shock subsides, when the quiet, diligent, daily work of forgiveness, of boundless grace, and of unwavering faith becomes the solid, unshakable foundation of a brand new, powerful legacy. It's a legacy meticulously built not on past grievances, not on lingering resentments, or even on fleeting material wealth, but on the enduring, transformative power of his unconditional love, a love that transcends all earthly boundaries, heals all emotional wounds, and brings true, lasting peace. This is the ultimate promise, the unwavering hope, for every family yearning for solace, for every heart seeking profound transformation, for every soul longing for a connection that truly lasts. Our narrative, once marked by a profound family rift, now stands as a living testament to his unending grace, a beacon for all who seek redemption and reconciliation through faith. If this deeply moving family transformation through Jesus blessed your heart and powerfully strengthened your faith, press the like button now, subscribe to the channel to join our growing community, share this incredible story with someone who desperately needs family healing and hope, and touch the bell to receive notifications for more miraculous testimonies. Comment Amen in the comments below if Jesus has touched your heart and transformed your life. Remember, in the infinite, boundless love of God where families are miraculously healed, burdens are lifted, and hearts are profoundly restored, there always is another miraculous story of Jesus transforming deep family pain into divine purpose and eternal hope. Until the next powerful testimony of his marvelous grace,